although there are going to be many helpful tips and tricks throughout your ARC journey, these are my top 10 favorite tips as a beginner. Coming in at number 10, these two go hand in hand, knockerberries and spoiled meat. When I first started out in ARC, I had the tendency of throwing things away that I've harvested. So yes, do not throw away knockerberries and do not throw away spoiled meat. So regarding the knockerberries, you don't want to throw them away and you also do not want to eat them. Knockerberries increase your torpidity. So if you're going to eat knockerberries, you are going to get knocked out and you're going to fall asleep. These are very handy for when you have a tame knocked out and you want to keep it asleep so that you can actually tame it up. Just feed it knockerberries or narcotics and the torpidity will increase. So you also don't want to throw away your spoiled meat. Spoiled meat and knockerberries are going to be very helpful to make narcotics, and then that is going to enable you to make trank arrows, and of course that is going to help you knock out creatures. So for one narcotic, which is made in the mortar and pestle, it's going to require 5 knockerberries and 1 spoiled meat. So as you guys can see, we have meat spoiling in our inventory, and this piece is going to take 5 minutes. I think it generally takes 10 minutes. I'm not entirely 100% sure on that, but yes, as you guys can see, this piece of meat is spoiling. Now the problem that I have with this is that this one piece out of the 37 pieces that I have is going to spoil. That means in, let's say, 5 minutes we're going to have one piece, and then we're going to have to wait another 10 minutes for a second piece to spoil. But if you go ahead and say split all of these pieces of meat are going to spoil in 4 minutes and 20 seconds. If you want to save your spoiled meat, your raw meat, or your knockerberries, go ahead and make yourself a preserving bin. It's unlocked at level 18 and really does not require a lot of resources. It, however, does require spark powder in order to be turned on. So as you guys can see, the knockerberries has 1 minute and 50 seconds. That's going to spoil in my inventory, but once I put it inside the fridge, it says an hour and 15 minutes, but you can see that it's already spoiled a little bit, so I think it's an hour and a half. But let's go ahead and put the meat inside. So we've got 3 minutes on that, and now we have 31 minutes on that. With the spoiled meat, we have 13 minutes for the spoiled meat to spoil. And if we put it inside the preserving bin, it's got a 2 hours and 10 minutes. So in order to keep these two things that you want to save safe, make yourself a preserving bin, and voila. Coming in at number 9, we have the character leveling. Although this can be a debatable topic, this is of course my opinion. So let's start from what I would generally get first. I would generally get movement speed first, then stamina, then some weight, and then some health. I know a lot of people will probably say, Lucky Shot, why wouldn't you get health a bit sooner? Well, your health is not going to matter if you don't have a good movement speed and if you don't have a good amount of stamina, and then also you're obviously going out to farm resources, so you're going to have some weight. If you're going to be weighed down, you're going to run slower and stuff like that. So generally your health is not going to count a lot. So if you're going to have 500 health but you're not going to be able to run fast, it's just really not going to help, because, well, things are just going to continuously bite you, especially when you run out of stamina. So yes, that is the order that I would do it in. After those 4, or in between those 4, I would go for melee damage. Melee damage is also very important, obviously, because when you're trying to kill a dinosaur or whatever the case is, it's going to be a lot quicker, and then also you're going to be able to harvest resources quicker, and you can harvest more resources from a better amount of melee damage. Then after all those 5, I will definitely go ahead and get myself some oxygen, maybe put some points into food and water, although I generally don't do that. Maybe 1 or 2 points is what I'd go for, but that is totally up to you. And then fortitude, I would definitely get that going as well, because it's going to help you in the cold biomes, the hotter biomes, and just in general when it's cold at night while you're walking around your base or whatever the case is. So none of these character levels are less important than the other. They all gonna help you in the long run. That's just the way I would generally do it to help me survive a little bit longer. Coming in at number 8, it's going to be crafting items in bulk to get more XP. So there's many ways to get XP in Ark: by taming, by crafting, by harvesting, by killing, and also by doing explorer note runs. But since you are a beginner, I'm assuming you don't know about explorer notes. Explorer notes are pretty cool, and if you go ahead and get the explorer notes along with your dinosaur, you both get this XP buff. If you do go ahead and get yourself explorer notes, make sure that you get the explorer notes, obviously, and then once you've done that, go on a killing spree or harvesting or crafting or whatever the case is, because that's just going to increase the amount of XP you get. But for now, we are going to go on this topic of crafting things in bulk. So when I'm talking about crafting things in bulk, I'm talking about maybe making a ton of foundations. So let's say we've got a bunch of wooden foundations here, craft all 3 of them, and then once you've crafted them all up, you go ahead, place them down and demolish them. You get back some of your resources and you also get some XP. So this could be debatable. You can make whatever you want in bulk. So let's say you're making foundations, or you want to go ahead and make stone hatchets, you want to make stone pickaxes. I think each thing gives you a different amount of XP, so you're just going to have to find which one works best for you. But I've seen a lot of people saying cloth hats work best for them, foundations work best for them, but for me, I like making rafts. Rafts give you a lot of XP in my opinion, but the only downside to that is you can't get back your resources. So if you go and place it in the river, obviously you have a raft that you can now go ahead and do your thing in the water, but if you demolish it, well, there goes the resources and you've lost your raft. The other downside to it is it's got 85 weight inside your inventory. But let's just quickly have a look. We have 3,648 XP, and if I make myself a raft, yeah, let's go ahead, make the raft, and we'll see how this goes, how much XP we get from that. So we got about 375 XP from that. So we leveled up a point. Obviously, if your XP is over here, you're probably going to get 2 points. I don't know, depending on where you are in the game and etc, etc. But yes, that gave me 375 XP. So that's a lot, but like, it requires a lot of resources. So 125 fiber, 75 hide, and 250 wood. 250 wood is not too hard to get, but 75 hide could be a little bit of a pain in the butt, because you need hide to make a forge, you need hide to make a mortar and pestle, you need hide to make I think your metal tools, you need hide to make a, I think I said a bed, a smithy. Like, there's a lot of things you need hide for, especially saddles. But if you just want to level up 1 or 2 levels, go ahead and make yourself some rafts, and there you go. So if you guys see here in my inventory, it weighs 85, so it weighs a lot, but if you put it down in the river, then you've now got your raft, or you're just going to end up throwing them away, which is kind of sad because obviously you're losing the resources. But like I said, quick way to get a lot of XP. Coming in at number 7, this is going to be one very important thing, and that is to get your greenhouse up and running. Although a greenhouse requires the greenhouse walls and ceilings, etc., you don't have to have it. You can, but you don't have to. The benefit of having that is it gives you a greenhouse effect. So if you guys have a look at these crop plots that I have on the outside that is not covered by greenhouse walls or ceilings, there is no greenhouse effect. But if you go to the crop plots that I do have covered, they actually do have a greenhouse effect. So the more closed this area is, the more greenhouse effect it's going to have. I think the max is 300%. So if I close that off at the end there, all of these are going to have a greenhouse effect. Obviously, with that being said, your plants are going to grow a lot faster, and that is going to be a bonus. The negative thing about greenhouse walls and greenhouse ceilings, etc., etc., it requires cementing paste crystal and metal ingots. So it can get quite expensive depending on how big you build your greenhouse, how you want it, etc., and how much chitin you actually have in the beginning to make yourself cementing paste. I'm guessing probably not a lot, and you also probably don't have a lot of crystal, but like I said, you don't have to have it. Your plants are just going to grow a lot slower. So while we're still on the greenhouse topic, it's going to be important to make yourself some compost bins. I would definitely recommend 2 or more of these compost bins because it takes a long time to make fertilizer. You're going to need thatch and also some feces that you or your dinosaur have dropped in order to make this fertilizer. I'm not sure how much thatch you need, but I know that you need 3 pieces of feces, some thatch, and that is going to make you 1 fertilizer. So once you've got your fertilizer, you're going to come to your crop plots and you're going to add it inside here. As you guys can see, this plant is currently not fertilized. So this brings me to my next tip. Coming in at number 6, tame yourself a Phiomia. The Phiomia is actually one of my top beginner tames to have, so if you guys haven't checked that video out, make sure to do so. But regarding the Phiomia, if you feed it a bunch of stem berries, it's going to give you a bunch of poop. But as you guys can see, stem berries actually take away some of your food. So be careful with that because you could starve your poor Phiomia. Let's go ahead, pick up all this poop. And then we go back to tip number 7, which is your greenhouse. So the crops are not fertilized, but if we go ahead and we put some poop in here, it's actually going to fertilize it with 7,500. Of course, your fertilizer is going to last longer, and it's also going to give a lot more, making it last longer. But you can just add normal poop in, because as you guys can see, there's 7,500 nitrogen, and it still helps, but fertilizer is probably preferred. So speaking of kibble, this brings me to my next tip. Coming in at number 5, the preserving bins. Although I mentioned this in tip number 10, I didn't mention that you need a preserving bin so that you can make jerky, but we're going to talk about that now. So jerky is going to be important for when you're making kibble, much like your greenhouse and your crops. The downside of jerky is it takes a long time to craft, so I'm going to recommend that you make 2 or more preserving bins. Don't just make 1, make 2 or more. So as you guys can see on the right, we have a preserving bin that has steam coming out of it, and on the left, that one doesn't have any steam at all, as well as the middle one. That is because there's no spark powder in there, and that means it's not working. But anyway, let's quickly have a look at the jerky. Jerky requires cooked meat or cooked prime meat. It requires oil and some spark powder, and that is going to give you cooked meat jerky or cooked prime meat jerky. Now, as I said, these things take a long time to craft. It crafts only 1 at a time. You can't craft it yourself. It just automatically crafts, so you're gonna have to make sure your preserving bin is always full of cooked meat, always full of oil, and always full of spark powder. Otherwise, it's just gonna stop crafting and you're not gonna have any more jerky. So if you have all 3 of these preserving bins running, you have them all full of the necessary resources that you need, that means we have 1 piece, 2 piece, and 3 pieces of jerky being made instead of just 1. So coming in at number 4, we have dye. When I first started out in Ark, I really did overlook this because I didn't know what it was for, so I really didn't bother with it. Dye is made by using a cooking pot, some charcoal, and some berries. So depending on the color berry you use and the charcoal and stuff like that, that will give you a different color paint. Dye can be used for multiple things like coloring in your outfits, and as you guys can see, we have a pink door behind us. So you can make your home fancy. You can make green, yellow, whatever the color is that you want. But on this topic, dye is important for color coding. So I know a lot of people do this. I don't generally do this, but I think it's a very good tip. So if you've got a bunch of storage boxes, hopefully you do, because you don't want to put everything into one storage box. It's going to get very overwhelming. But let's say you have a bunch of storage boxes and some of them have wood in, some of them have stone in, and you want to easily remember it. Instead of going through every storage box, just color code it. So for this, you are going to need your die, and you're also going to need the spray gun. As you guys can see on the left of my screen, it says color region 1 enabled and the others are disabled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click right mouse button, that's your aim. I don't know what it is on console, super sorry about that, but you're going to press in your aim button, and then you are going to press whatever number it is that says it's disabled. So if I press 2, it's now enabled. If I press 3, it's now enabled. If I press 2 again, it's disabled. So let's go ahead, let's pick a different color other than pink. Let's go with some orange. Let's go inside, and we have a storage box right over here. So as you guys can see, color region 1 enabled. So if I color that in, there we go. That is colored in. But I want all of them enabled because I want the entire thing to be orange, and there we go. And now this storage box is going to be a blue color because it's obviously got different resources in. Please do yourself a favor, make yourself a bunch of storage boxes and keep your things apart. Keep your weapons in one box, your armor in one box. I know I'm very bad at this, but it's really helpful in the beginning because, like I said, all of these things can get overwhelming. You end up throwing things away that you need, and you don't want to do that. When I first started out, I threw things away like the talons, the Argentavis talons and stuff like that, and only later on realizing you need them for boss fights. So, separate your items. So when it comes to coloring in your outfit, you just go ahead, take your die and drag it over the armor, and then as you guys can see, there are different regions, and then you can like color it in, and if you double click, it colors it in like immediately. So that's pretty cool. And voila, we can also change up the colors that we have because all of them are obviously in our inventory. So there we go. Apply paint. Well, I didn't have to do that, but anyway, we now have these fancy looking pants, so I don't look like just some bob on the beach with my cloth armor. Coming in at number 3, metal tools. This is very important because obviously it's going to take you out of the Stone Age. So let's quickly have a look. Metal. So we've got the metal pick, we've got the metal hatchets, we've also got the sickle, and the sickle is really good for gathering fiber. And then on the metal topic, we also have a pike. A pike is going to be stronger than a spear, obviously, and also that is part of your metal tools or weapons era. Along with getting into the metal era, there is going to be a crossbow. Obviously, the crossbow is better than your normal bow. So it's probably going to feel a little bit overwhelming. Well, where do I get metal? I need to make a lot of metal ingots and stuff like that. But actually, when you're starting out and you're harvesting a bunch of stones, hopefully I'm going to get a piece of metal from this. But when you're harvesting a bunch of stones, you are likely going to get a piece of metal, maybe 2, maybe 3. Keep saving those pieces of metal up. It doesn't look like a lot to you. It looks like a waste of space in your inventory and making it look really cluttered or whatever the case is, but save those pieces of metal. There we go, 2, 3, 4, 5. Save those pieces of metal because you can go ahead and make yourself a forge. A forge is unlocked at level 20 and requires 40 fiber, 5 flint, 65 hard, 125 stone and 20 wood. So it really doesn't cost a lot. You can make yourself this forge, you can start smelting up your metal, and then once you've got enough, you can go ahead and make yourself a smithy. A smithy requires 5 metal ingots, so that means you're going to need 10 pieces of metal. 1 metal ingot requires 2 pieces of metal. So now that you have your smithy, we go have a look at the metal items that you need. So you're going to generally make yourself the metal pick and then the metal hatchet, and later on you'll work on the other things. So it's going to require 1 metal ingot, that means 2 pieces of metal, and then the hatchet is going to require 8, meaning 16 pieces of metal. So if we count that all together, you're going to need 10 plus the 16 from the hatchet, which is 26, and then plus the 2 from the metal pick, which means 28 pieces of metal. And I'm pretty sure by the time you unlock the forge, you could definitely have those pieces of metal if you save them up. So this might be a stupid tip or not, but I didn't really know about this until it was spoken a lot about on Facebook, and this is a very good tip. The toilet. I'm pretty sure when you start out, well, at least when I started out, I really didn't care about the toilet. I saw it, I made one, I sat on it, and that's all I did. I forgot about it because I was like, this doesn't make sense. What's this for? I could just poop out in the wild if I want to, but no, the toilet's actually very important. You're gonna have to connect this toilet to some pipes, as you guys can see. It has to be connected, otherwise it's not going to work. So if you go ahead, you sit on the toilet, you take a poop, you get off the toilet, and you flush it, you now have yourself some fertilizer. I know it said that it times 2 fertilizer, but it only gave me 1. But that's a quick way to get fertilizer instead of using the compost bins. So if you really need that piece of fertilizer, you can go to the toilet and yeah, you know, do your thing. So another thing about the toilet, if you're sitting on the toilet, I don't think it's gonna work now, but if you do multiple poops, so 1, 2, 3, it's not going to, you're not going to be able to flush it and get more fertilizer. As you guys can see, that one piece of poop is actually out of the toilet. That looks so disgusting. Yeah, it's out of the toilet, meaning you can't use it to get fertilizer. So flush, got myself some fertilizer, but now that we have human feces in our inventory, we can't drag it over in order for it to make fertilizer. That's not how it works. You have to literally sit on the toilet. Okay, I don't have any more poop left, but you have to sit on the toilet, poop once, get off, flush, and then repeat that process for as many times as you can. I think it's only 2 or 3. And coming in at number 1 again is the Pteranodon, or any flyer. As a matter of fact, get yourself a flyer. It's important to get yourself a flyer because 1, it's going to take you off the ground. 2, you're going to be able to explore the world a little bit more. Although exploring the world can be done on foot with like land dinosaurs, but it's totally up to you. But in my opinion, definitely get yourself a flyer, get off the floor and go look for a better base location, or if you really like this one, stay here, like your beginning base location, then stay there. That's up to you. But now with this flyer, instead of me swimming through this water, dying to piranhas, going through this bush, this mess, not knowing what's here, I can just fly above these trees and start looking for metal, crystal, obsidian, oil, all of that stuff, and also start looking for better tames. So like I said in the beginning, there are going to be a lot of really helpful tips and tricks throughout the Ark journey, but I hope that these at least helped you get started, helped to make your life a little bit easier. And if anyone that has been playing Ark for a long time happens to watch this video and you have other tips that you would like beginners to know about, let us know in the comments down below. I would appreciate it, and I'm sure they would too. If you guys found this video helpful at all, please let me know by leaving a big fat thumbs up. And also, if you guys want to check out more Ark content from me, Lucky Shot, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn on notifications. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I hope you are enjoying your Ark journey. Trust me, it's going to bring you a lot of joy. Ignore those people that say it's going to ruin your life. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a fantastic day. Cheers.